from you as well. Getting some interesting texts coming in. 81333. Start your message with the word Essex. Elle Linton is from Loughton. She's a fitness blogger and an ambassador for Live Cycling UK and also This Girl Can Essex. Good morning, Elle. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
What do you think then about the idea of cyclists kind of bunching up? Do you think that could be safer in the long run because it forces car drivers to slow down and only overtake when they absolutely can? Or do you think we're asking for trouble here?
I think there's two sides to every story. And as a cyclist, I can absolutely say that I think it is sometimes safer, and that is a judgment that you have to make in the group. On a quiet lane, like it looks like those cyclists were on, because obviously we can't see the whole context. I would imagine that they were bunched up closer together because there were so few cars. They were having a chat. They were enjoying the fresh air, enjoying riding together. And I then imagine that should they see a car coming or hear a car coming from behind, they would choose to come back into formation of single file or two abreast, depending on the road. I personally, that's how I would imagine that scenario would have gone. I wouldn't choose to ride four abreast on a busy road because, as you can see in the video, for those who've watched it, if a car does overtake, there still isn't like a massive gap, even though they're on the other side of the road. And for me, that's the thing that's most important. You don't want to be close to the car when they're overtaking.
For me, I mean, I can see the sense in some point of being in a block that you can overtake quicker. So I can see that they might be doing it from a safety point of view. But if they're doing it, as you suggest, because they want to be more social and have a chat, I mean, that's not why you should be on the roads, is it? I mean, every road user, bike or car driver, has a responsibility to concentrate on what they're doing. And if you're riding abreast just so you can have a nice chat with your neighbour, is that right?
So like I'm saying, in that scenario, it would be on a very quiet road for a short space of time. And as cyclists in a group, your main priority is to be able to communicate with each other. And yes, you're not having big conversations, but it could just be talking about sharing the area that you're in or sharing rules of the road and discussing situations that have happened or could happen to make sure that everyone feels confident in the group together. I kind of feel like, as a motorist, which I also am, from my experience, I feel like not a lot of motorists are confident overtaking because it's not a scenario that has happened a lot before. So that's sometimes what creates traffic rather than the cyclists being in too big a group to overtake.
Okay, yeah, I can see that a lot of people might be wary of overtaking, which, as you say, leads to the backup behind. How about this issue about insurance that Mick just raised before you came on, Elle? I mean, am I right in thinking that if you are part of a club, there are sometimes options for insurance through that club?
So you don't get insurance typically with a club. However, I would imagine that a lot of cyclists are members of either Cycling UK or British Cycling, and those come with certain levels of insurance that protect you as a cyclist and protect drivers. I kind of feel like the scenario of a cyclist causing a lot of damage to a car is very rare. Like when you compare the size of a car to the size of a cyclist and a bike, like, it's pretty obvious that the bike and the cyclists are going to come off worse. So the situation that the caller shared before, I'm sure, is a rare one. But yeah, cyclists can be insured for a third party, and they can be insured for themselves and their bikes.
Right. How safe do you feel when you're on the bike? I know you say you drive as well around Essex, but as a cyclist, how safe and confident do you feel when you're on your bike?
If I'm completely honest, I would say that I do not cycle on my own for fear of my own safety. Cycling in a group, I feel much more confident because you're safer in numbers. I've had experiences on the road in Essex which have been great experiences in majority, but I've had some really bad ones and uncalled for ones. And I think there just is, for some reason, a a dislike for cyclists, and I have no idea where that comes from. When you think that a cyclist is not a special person, they are drivers, they are pedestrians, they are wives, mothers, brothers, dads, sisters. They are people, and I just think that sometimes when people get in cars, they forget that people on bikes are still human beings. So yeah, I don't feel safe really to go out riding on my own, but I definitely feel more confident in a group.
That is sad, isn't it? That you don't
I
feel
know it
that
is.
you
It
can go out on
really
your
is.
own. From doing this kind of program in the past, I think perhaps, and I know we might be getting callers saying exactly this at the moment. Some of this will stem from, and I'm sure it's a minority, of the cyclists that don't seem to think the rules of the road fit them. We all see them
Yes,
going
I
through red
agree.
lights, crossing, weaving in and out of traffic, and I know from doing this sort of program before, a lot of people have that animosity towards cyclists because they don't see them following the rules of the road.
Yes, I hear that. And I had a situation on the weekend where it was a big group ride. Not everyone knew everyone. We came to some lights. Some of the riders went through the lights and the rest of us stayed. A driver started shouting at us saying, tell your friends that they should follow the rules of the road. And we're like, well, they're adults and they have made that decision not to do that, but we're the ones that are actually here following the rules of the road, so we don't need the grief. So I am 100% in agreement, like people should be following the rules of the road. It's the safest way because then everybody's on the same page. So yeah, I agree with that.
Interesting to get your thoughts, Elle. Thank you very much for your time. Stay safe out there.
Thank you.
Elle Linton is from Loughton. She's a fitness blogger, cyclist, ambassador for Live Cycling UK, and this girl can Essex ambassador as well. So over to you, 0800 111 40 41. We can talk about the original issue that Jeremy Vine raised and whether that would be a safer approach to bunch cyclists together. So you're a bit like if you had to overtake a car or a very slow moving piece of farm machinery. Well, the farm machinery, looking at the video, would be much wider than these four cycles were. But you are past them straight away, aren't you? And you would have to wait until there was clearance and the road was wide enough and it was safe, rather than if they were single or two abreast. Is there the temptation to squeeze past on a bend because, it's only one cyclist or only two abreast, so there's room for me and somebody else, which of course is clearly much more dangerous for all concerned, particularly the cyclists. So let's get your thoughts on it. Your experiences would be very welcome as well as a motorist or a cyclist. 0800 111 40 41.